a good little predator sound. Do it again.
Do No, I can't.
There you go. It sounds like
Trying.
a little purr.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a baby predator, you know.
I'm a little baby.
I'm J.R. Phillips. I'm the one that won't shut up, and yeah, you can't make me, okay?
And I'm Nico Harlekenden. I'm the one who took notes, lit them on fire, and then started a completely separate new project instead.
And welcome to BAM! Now you know everything!
Okay, so speaking of like girls, because before we started recording, we were kind of talking about the Diddy trial and stuff like that. But that's like a hefty thing to like go into, and I'm not up to date, so I'd feel super ill-informed talking about it. So let's go into this other topic. The thing about Love Island, of course, I'm going to bring it here right now, is they always talk...
am so glad.
They always talk about girl, right? And so like the biggest issues of drama in these latest like episodes have been attacking another girl. So like say you and I are like gunning for the same dude, you know, for whatever reason. We're in the villa, we're trying to make 100K. There's a hot guy. You know, if I have to spend my days in this beautiful mansion and a pool, and sleep in the bed with somebody, I guess
suppose
most people would be like, let me have the hot guy. I would be like, let me have the guy who doesn't touch me in the middle of the night. But that's me.
Mm-hmm.
I like to sleep, so I don't know. Anyway,
boundary.
So these two girls,
Beauty rest.
Yeah, we're on TV the next day. Like I'm barely keeping it together. Like let me get some shut eye. So these two girls are and boys will go after the same person, right? Hot commodity. But the way men go about it is like very different. It's like a nonchalant, yeah, I'm gonna pull her, like I'm gonna chat her, like, you know, and it's like a matter of fact thing. Whereas like us girls love to get into semantics of stuff, the sensitivity training talk, you know, kind of thing.
Kind of, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. So there's these two girls, and they're going after the same guy, and they keep bringing up these girls. Like, if you were a girl's girl, you wouldn't be kissing him in this place or whatever. But, like...
Knowing someone else was into said man.
Right. But...
Got you.
But just because you're into... I'm into the guy, too. If that's, like, how I find out if I'm more involved, you know what I mean? Then...
But it's a dating show.
Right. And
yeah, why? That doesn't mean girl's girl.
No, I feel like
it's a competition.
Yeah, I feel like you can't go into the show and be like, I'm a girl's girl.
No.
Like, no. That goes out the window because egos are involved. Like, don't be mean. Like, don't talk smack for no reason. You know, like, don't I feel
like more so being a girl's girl in a competition would be like if a dude was being horrific in some way, you'd be like, no, I have the girls back. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you're an asshole. You're a piece of shit.
Yeah. Or like, oh, I see how he treated her. I'm going to step easy. You know what I mean? But when you're on a show, that's like a competition. In the real world, if I saw a guy treating one of my friends like garbage, I'm not gonna go sneak off to the hideaway and make out with him. I would be like, uh-oh, this guy's not good, so I'm gonna stay away from him. But when you're on the dating show and you're living together and you're trapped, you kind of have to, you know, deal with what you're given, I guess, is like the way I'm going. But like, how would you navigate being a girl's girl in a villa where everyone's trying to date each other, have the best connection, and win 100K at the end.
Well, I think being a girl's girl has nothing to do with like going after the same guy. I feel like that's fair game because it's a competition. But if it's like a guy did something underhanded, or even I haven't watched the show, but like something even close to assault or something like that, or just something just like horrible. Yeah, fuck that guy.
And I feel like you're the perfect person to ask because you don't have experience with Love Island. You know what I mean? So because of that, you can really look at the social norms and boundaries that you have, and then trying to place it in something that you don't know that much about, but still try to keep core values, right?
You're trying to win money, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All you have to say is money. Like, this isn't just to find some person.
And they're all in there strategizing. You can see it. Like
it's like Survivor.
You see the wheel spinning like, oh, I should probably couple up with this person because America or the UK or Australia, whichever Love Island you're watching, is watching and picking, and they like this person. So I'm going to... It becomes inauthentic really quick. Not that it could ever be authentic a lot of the time, you know.
Okay, so you're a professional Love Island analyst. So you're the perfect person to ask this question, which is, have you seen a trend across any of the seasons in any of the countries where the women are rewarded for being like more women who are kind of like kind or downplay the strategy or oblivious to the strategy or trying to play it safe, they rise further to the top more often than the men who might be like, you know, better at strategizing? Or more, not better at strategizing, more well received in their strategy. Whereas, like, here's my hypothesis. My guess, going in blind, would be that women are more punished for being identified as strategic.
Yeah, I think men get punished the more. I think actually it's equal across that. If you're seen as somebody that's moving weird, like you're just hooking up with whoever you can hook up with, or, you know, like promiscuous. I couldn't think of the word. Weird, promiscuous. It goes together, okay? But if you're being that way, and people are watching, or if you, like, say you're the fan favorite and I didn't know that, and like we're coupled up, and then I'm like, well, I'm gonna go make out with that person in the hideaway now, then people are like, oh, you just betrayed the person that we love, like how could you do that? And then they get voted down. The number one thing that they say, which you should be able to see through, like, is they're all hanging out around like after a date, and they're all saying, you know, I'm here for a connection. I'm here for a deep connection. I just think like they're not here for a deep connection. Like, I feel like they just don't get it. Like, I want to know if, like, I'm here to find my partner. I'm here to find the love of my life. You know, I'm like, you came on a dating show that had a cash prize that makes you an influencer, because like 2 seasons down a row, one contestant has gone from like no followers to like 2 million followers in 4 weeks. You know what I mean?
Imagine how many people would buy your book.
I know. I think about it all the time. I'm like, man, you know, 15 years ago, going to the villa, what's up, guys? You know, whatever. They used to have really cool games there. I've talked about that before. It doesn't matter. Okay. No. So like they'll just dance around it. The most authentic people actually come across as the ones who are exploring the whole time and not locked in, because it's like they really are trying to get to know all these hot people. Everybody is good looking. So you can't go in and be like, that's an uggo over there, not talking to that. You know, there's none of that. And I mean, of course, physical type and attractiveness is subjective, but like, there's no one that's like below average. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was listening this week to better prepare myself to talk to you. YouTube, because we've been speaking about it, the algorithm has been recommending these video essays about Love Island, and so I watched a part of one of them,
I love
and
it.
it was a critique about the appearances, the morphing of appearances of the contestants into this like highly hot, highly commoditized. You compare this season to the first season and it's like night and day. Not that the first season wasn't attractive, but like these people are models and they all fit the same template.
Right. And like, okay, so I'm watching the UK version now because obviously I'm only getting one episode a night from the US right now. So
Not
like,
enough. Yeah.
not enough. So I've been watching UKs, and then I'm watching the UKs, and they're all attractive, but there's less work done on these contestants this time around. And I think because they got a lot of flack, and I feel bad for the women contestants on the show and the men, but we know that women, we just automatically get judged more. Like we just know it. It's like, it sucks, but it's just what happens. And the amount of like lip filler, like people will go through and be like, this is what work they've had done. And they'll be like, check, 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 check. And then it's like, yeah, be forthright with the work you've had done if you wish it. Like, I feel like don't go around and say just rub olive oil over your body and then you're miraculously like a baby.
Or some other sponsor. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, don't do it for them. Like, let them come out and be like, yeah, I didn't like this about myself. Now, that is actually accidentally a really great segue into the problematic situation of this Love Island. So the last time I was on this, I told you about the few contestants that were racially charged, like they have reposted, retweeted really racist things. You have a few like Zionists on there. Like people are like, check this out. Now, Zionist is harder for me to spot than racist. So like, because, you know, it's just like this term that's new to me this year with like conflicts happening. So I'm trying to like what we did last time, like separate people from a country, like people from a government. So I'm wary, you know, of it, but I'm also going to believe somebody who's like, look at all this evidence, right? You know, whatever. But this will be like the third contestant that they find racist tweets from. And she made a slur against the Asian community about how she wanted to get work done on her eyes to not look a certain way, which is like, when you say that, like, how do you form that sentence and be like, yeah, that's good. Post. It comes out, and then you could be like, holy shit, what am I, you know what I mean? Like, growth. But when you sit there and you type it out and you reread it, what are you doing? I don't know. It's like both are awful, but the typing it out to me is like 1,000 times worse.
How long ago was it? Is she
know.
using that for like a defense? I feel like sometimes when that has happened in the past, I feel like people
she can't even defend herself because she's in the freaking villa. So people
it happened while she was like MIA.
So somebody that's running her account is like boasting about how she's going to hit 1 million followers, whatever. People did some digging. People found like a lot of evidence against her, what she said. She can't come and defend herself. So I feel bad at that. But I'm also like, there's like really no defending it other than apologizing. So I feel like, I feel like when she comes out of the villa, which happens a lot, is people come and make like crying videos, like, I'm so sorry, I offended, like, you know, like all this stuff. But yeah, the drama on the island continues. This is kind of the worst best cast that's ever happened because it's the worst because there's nobody there that's like for love. Like you don't feel love from anybody except maybe a late couple. Chris and Huda are kind of like, I feel like the most genuine, but still she's had her journey, as they like to say.
I like I blame you. On my TikTok, I'm getting all of this Huda like content now.
Every morning I wake up. Yeah. It's crazy.
Oh my God. People are like talking like psychoanalyzing her and adding clips, and I'm like, I don't even know this woman.
I know. I felt so bad. Like, not wholly bad, but after like armchair diagnosing her, like after when I do that with everyone, I can't I like taken
I know. Yeah.
you know, a lot of classes. I have my own issues, obviously. Someone psychoanalyzed me. Like you could probably like compile clips together and find some interesting things that I don't even know, you know? But
I know.
like,
Don't do that. Don't do that to us. We don't need that.
like,
it's just like
the
the shortness of the TikToks. It's salacious. It makes you want to like go along with the analysis. You know what I mean? It's so tempting. It's like an itch in a weird spot of your brain.
Yeah, it's like the conspiracy theory thing where you just theorists throw the puzzle pieces and then you put it together and then you feel so proud of yourself at the end because you're like, I put it together. I solved it. I am a detective. And you feel amazing after it. And then after a while, if you're not in a cult, after a while, you're like, oh, did I really like fully like believe this off of a 10-minute clip? Because, or 10-second, because in the villa all day long they're being recorded. Producers are going to show you 10 minutes of their worst or best or whatever pleases the story. So that's important to remember too. And all these people are taking it way too seriously. Like, it's fun to go on a live, it's fun to talk about who you like and who you don't like, but don't call child services. Don't make death threats. That's weird. Like, I just like, I could never sit down at my computer and be like, oh, you know what I've been hankering to do? Send in a death threat. That, you know, I've been like thinking about that. I just couldn't imagine
being so bored. Yeah. Or malicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much to do.
Parasocial. I know. The parasociality of it all.
Yeah. It's been crazy. So like when I think about the girls situation between Shelley, Alondria, and Huda, and then it comes up in the UK, and then it comes up in a lot of places like you're not a girl's girl, you're not a girl's girl. I like really want women, and especially young women, to really internalize that. Like, that is a weapon that has been used against us. You know what I mean? Like, to be expected to behave a certain way, or like, you know, it's never just about having your girl's back. When you say you're a girl's girl, it's about you do what I want you to do so that I can do what I want to do. But that's not the true definition of a girl's girl. Or like, you know, you should still...
I've been noticing some warping and some weirdness in that. But I don't know a lot about it. But it does seem like it's been twisted or co-opted by a different group of people than initially who were using it. Maybe those powers for good. I don't know.
Yeah, I just always question things that are like that.
Rules?
Tell me, yeah. But that tell me I have to be a certain way, or rules.
Social prescriptions.
Yeah, because it's just a little bit controlling, and I don't mind structure. I need it and I crave it, and
not that kind.
But not that kind. Like, I don't need you to tell me how I'm feeling. I don't need you to tell me to compartmentalize something because it makes you uncomfortable. Like, you need to do something to figure that out. the villain isn't the girl next to you or the woman next to you. And it's the same thing for like older women versus younger women, which our society does all the time, you
I know.
know?
If they even see older women, only when they're annoying younger women, I feel like.
Yeah, or
Not
if
that
they're
it's not real.
right. There are definitely
Yeah.
older women that are
Cruel.
yeah, or just like obviously reminiscing, missing their youth or have regrets,
Yeah.
right? Which I totally understand. Like I get it.
Yeah.
But now that I'm approaching, I don't want to even say it's old, right? You know, like being 40 isn't old to me. It never has been old to me. You know, it just but I do see like this thing where younger impressionable women that are not 25 yet that look at older women or middle-aged women as this threat, but they mask their insecurity with, oh, they're just jealous of me because that's what Hollywood and our society is like. Well, of course they're just jealous of you because you are a tiny little baby and they're old and raggedy and,
And
you know,
wrinkly,
yeah.
deflated. Yeah.
And they've done it so bad that these girls are injecting their faces from like when they're like 15, 16 years old and they look crazy because they're like
Yeah.
so insecure that they're going to end up with a wrinkle.
I know.
If I was like that,
I
like
feel bad for everybody involved,
too.
obviously. Yeah.
I like just think if I had access to that stuff like Botox or something when I was so young and impressionable. Well, I was so insecure about forehead wrinkles and things like that that if I had access to it, I would have sneakily gone to get it done. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if I had the energy to be that bad, you know.
To go meet some new service provider and be
Yeah.
friends with them.
I was like, wait. I'd be too anxious to meet stranger. But if my friend was like, hey, I've got the kits, and I'd be like, yeah, go ahead, poke me, you know, whatever.
Legit. Oh my God. No, I'm right. I feel the same way. Like you're so insecure when your brain is still developing and like you haven't really fully developed like a sense of self. When you're younger, it's so bad.
Because yeah, and we've talked about it so much, and I just feel like this is the time frame in our lives where we can look back in our 20s, like the early like 18 through 26, 27. If you're lucky, some of us are late bloomers, you might have to like look back like I do, like look all the way until last year, you know? If you you like can look back and be like, hey, what I was doing was not me. Like, and then you kind of have to go through these things and you have to be really forgiving to yourself.
Yeah.
And that means being forgiving to younger people and younger generations too.
Yeah.
Because you have to remember how crazy your brain is. It's like bad soup in there.
Yeah. Oh. It's not easy for anyone.
Are you
Life.
going? Yeah, I was like, are you going down a memory lane right now?
No, I'm like empathizing. Like this roulette of different people is running through my mind. Just like templates of different people, not even people that I know, and just thinking about like, yeah,
the characters, you know, like
the tropes.
Yeah. The thing we do all the time.
The archetypes, let's say. Give it some gravitas because these are people. I don't want to poo-poo on older women, older anyone. They face other challenges that are never spoken about, that are never studied when it comes to healthcare. They're up against so much, but truly, they are also coming from a background where they were never required or expected to or provided the example of unlearning the negative traits that they were raised with either. So that's also tough. It's like, come on, help us out. Help us help you.
Yeah, and I look at people like my mom who we come from a very supportive family, a very like tight-knit group. We don't always agree with a lot of stuff and it's a family. Family is a family. Um
Exactly.
but she had to go through a lot of hardships as being the oldest daughter and having all brothers and watching like the difference of being raised, and
Yeah.
sometimes she does bring it up and she's very critical on herself because of it. So like I look at, and my mom will be 60, so I look at that and I'm like, you can see the shift, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like of generations, like the self-awareness, the empathy, the just forgiving yourself, like seeing her journey and stuff and everything. You can't help but feel admiration when you are close to people from the older generation and generation beyond and
Yeah.
things like that.
Super inspiring, I bet.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Oh, what a
Yeah.
queen.
My grandmom sent me the funniest meme today for 4th of July. So my grandmom is not a Trump supporter, which is so refreshing when an older person is not a Trump supporter, like I know there's probably a lot out there, but from where I am, it's not. It's like very far and few between. So it's kind of nice to have her as an anchor of like, here's how, a sane person's feeling today. You're not alone. Like it's the 4th of July and we're all feeling a bit crazy on this side. Hoping for different catastrophic things to happen that I've seen constantly today. Um,
Yes. I
it's
try
been
to avoid
interesting.
social media these
Mm-hmm.
times as well. Always, but especially these times. But there's a teacher who I still have on Facebook who is so great, and she's well into retirement and so wonderful. But she was my high school freshman and senior year English teacher. And
Oh,
she keeps it so real and very similar like energy. So glad to see her takes and that type of thing. I
I
love
love,
it.
yeah, it's just, it makes you remember that like the things you're seeing and the loudest people like don't represent
Yeah.
any one group, and it's like so important for us to not forget to talk to each other about it and like,
Makes you hopeful.
yeah, that's a good word, hopeful.
Yeah. Happy 4th of July, Jess.
Happy 4th of July. We can be a patriotic person without being a nationalist. It's okay. What I
You can
do
want better for
need,
your country.
what I do need from CBS is to not do a freaking survey on how people feel about the American flag.
Yeah.
Because then you have all these people in the comments, well, liberals hate the country, so of course they're not going to have the flag. Oh, that tracks. Meanwhile, forgetting like armed servicemen and women that are actively liberals, actively
Yeah.
protecting whatever, it's like when they cherry pick the Bible, it's infuriating. And I'm just like, CBS, maybe you didn't need to do a divisive story. I mean, that's
That's how they get their
probably
views.
the problem, Like,
Yeah, they definitely lean hard into that aspect.
yeah, I just am like, I don't want to see far right or far left. I don't want to see, and we know now that media outside of ourselves is not ourselves, like we're the only ones unbiased out there in the world. But I mean,
Unbiased.
yeah, I mean, we are biased. I mean, it's like podcasts or small creators, like
Yeah.
we're not coming in here to be like, hey, let's talk about something really salacious, twist it around, make it something it's not, it's more like, hey, let's just sit down and have a chat on like this thing I saw and it's kind of weird or it's this way and that way, you know? But like
Help
we
me
know
process this. Yeah.
yeah, that kind of thing. But now it's like I don't want to turn on CBS or MSNBC and I don't want to see people talking about how liberals hate the flag. Like that does not
It's a
help.
non-issue.
Yeah, it does not help anything. And it also perpetuates these things to make us not feel safe with our neighbor. I hate that. I hate it. Like, obviously, I'm not gonna feel safe in a room full of men, period, liberal or not. So let's get back to that, you know? Let's not talk about the flag. Let's talk about how we're gonna fix things so we all feel safe together.
Yeah.
The big beautiful bill.
Do we want?
I just want to say this one thing.
No.
Just one thing. Because we weren't prepared on it.
I'm so ravenous.
I know.
Want to tear it apart.
But they made it so that it's easier to get a silencer.
Jesus Christ.
Like easier and cheaper to get a silencer. I left the school. I left the school system right on time. Are you kidding me? Like, I just don't understand. Why do you need a silencer as a citizen? Like,
you also don't need an AR.
Yeah. I understand, like, okay, what if it was like this, okay? You go to a gun range, okay? They exist. You can rent a gun. You can rent an AK. Maybe they have a rocket launcher place that you can go to, you know? And it's safe, and you get to get all your hootenannies out. You know, whatever. And then you go home without the gun because the gun stays at
the range.
At the range. And then you can have your protection weapons because at this day and age with everything going on with MAGA and Civil War and flames and destruction. I don't blame anybody for wanting to defend themselves from possibilities, but you do not need these kinds of weapons in your freaking basement. Or whatever.
Gun vault.
So it's like if you really want to do like Call of Duty, you know what they have, guys? They have like paintball. They have airsoft where you can get these cool guns. You can go in and pretend to shoot everybody and you can go home without the gun.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I've shot guns. I'm from Maine. We have guns here in a vault. Yeah. But
I don't think you need a silencer.
Nobody needs a silencer. Nobody needs a semi. Nobody needs like a night vision scope.
But did you know, Nico, that you can get that from the black market? Did you know that anybody can go?
Criminals are going to crime.
Go to the underground and they're going to get them?
The underground. You know what we need to make underground and black market? These like untraceable private sales as well, like while we're talking about it. That's like straight from Maine. I don't even know if that's like a thing here in Michigan, but it definitely was where I'm from, and super unsafe. I know we love it. We have this little magazine called the Uncle Henry's. You go into these classifieds and you buy private sale. These ridiculous.
I have never heard of this.
You can buy a Geo Metro, you could buy a German Shepherd puppy, or you could buy weapons and farm equipment. It's crazy.
Those poor puppies. Anytime I hear of like a way to get a puppy, like not adopting a puppy, I'm like, oh, I don't like that.
Do a little cringy cringe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Very rural.
Very rural. Rural's a hard word to say.
Rural juror.
Yeah, when I'm narrating the anthology, I am I am so petrified of coming across a few different words. Like I went over the depths, the depths. See, look, I
Yes,
couldn't even
breadth
say
and depth.
it. I went over that word. It's hard for me still. But also rural, right?
Rural.
I'm gonna have to just have Google like up, like at the whole time, like, and like match the mouth,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like you get in your own head, you're performing, right? It might just be to me right now, but my tongue gets real fat and is like, I don't know what to do anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Yes.
it'll be great. Okay, I'll do a good job. But
I'm so excited. I can't
but
wait
when
to hear.
it starts, I'm like,
Um, Also, there's an old French lady in one of Bailey's stories. Bailey is the other narrator that is narrating beside Jess
Oh, okay.
for this audiobook. And so Bailey either has to do this old French woman accent or I get to do it in both.
Ooh, I'm interested in both, so I would love it to hear like if he tries it,
Side
and
by
then
side, we vote on it. Yeah.
yeah, I would love that. I am glad it's not me because I can't do a French accent. I think I can maybe like omelette du fromage from
Ooh.
no, don't pretend. That was awful.
I
But
love it.
but from Dexter's Lab when he just like goes around and he says it to everybody. Um I trained for that. And then Jimmy
Beautiful.
Neutron, Carl, croissant, croissant.
Croissant?
Yeah, he's like going around. The if any French people ever listen to this, I apologize. Okay? I don't know what I'm doing.
You're great. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so much fun. I can't wait to hear it. Oh my God, I sent the foil and the art and the final
Ooh!
everything this week, and it was like very emotional.
I saw your post that was like, I've been approved and like it's so
Yeah.
exciting and
I'm just waiting for like video of like the mock-up. They'll do like the shell. They'll have black pages in it, the same number of pages as in the finished book, but like we'll get to see the cover and have it and add it
mm,
as like a video and some graphics for the Kickstarter, which is due to go live on Monday. May go live without the video.
is Kickstarter making the video or are who's making the video? The
No. So the manufacturer will make the video of the shell, maybe do some like turning over, show like the debossing on the hard case cover and the dual side dust jacket.
Oh, yeah, I
And then
can't wait for that.
I'll edit what they provide for like the stock footage into like a this is what the project is video.
Yeah, so like any listeners, like if you're like me, I would love a breakdown of the process because I mean, I'm like right behind you. Like I'm right on your heels a little. It lets me kind of know because the collection for where magic is made is coming and I know in the future, maybe not for this one. I might hold a special place because it's the first one. Like, like Forbidden Fruit's like your first one for the Curious Post and like I'm sure it's holding like a soft spot. Like I find myself like, oh, it's so cute. Like, oh, a cover's
Labor of
coming.
love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I know I'm not going to just like forget about it, but I know in the future, like as we grow and pivot and maybe like go on different platforms and like with Kickstarter or like if something similar comes
Yeah.
up, it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to know like the breakdown of like cost and who you had to talk to and like, that kind of thing. And I think it would be interesting for a lot of people. I've seen so many authors asking questions and Kickstarter's not just for books, like games, video games, board games, like I've seen them for everything. So,
Yeah.
you're going to have a
Absolutely.
lot of nuggets of information that people are going to
It's
want.
true. Yeah, I'm super excited. I can't wait. It is during like a little bit of a lull. Like summer is technically a little bit of a lull, but we'll see. Um, it's a great product working with a great manufacturer. I was able to get some answers from another great creator. I just want to plug her really quick. She's a mutual on TikTok. Her name is Callista. Super helpful information from her on these special editions and some of the options. You have to keep in mind like what the tariff situation is whenever you're going to
Mm,
order. So that could maybe redirect you to some domestic manufacturers. Right now, we're in a small, peaceful lull for several more weeks with that. So it's a very
yeah.
modest tariff at this point. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's like good that you're doing it now for that situation, kind of like
Yeah.
when you're buying a house kind of
Yeah.
deal. But it is like off season, I guess is like how we describe it down here, even though it's
Mm,
summer and people are on vacation and stuff. There's like an off season because people coming in, it's like a shedding, we don't need. But I feel like when August comes and schools come back into session and that scent of fall is on the wind, we've like in some states, lucky you, not where I am ever.
yeah. Oh,
So,
it's so humid right now.
I think people will be like, "Ooh, I definitely need that like shiny new black on black book. It looks like so cool."
It's
You're like,
amazing.
"I need it."
I need it in my hands. Yeah, it's real. It's going to be in people's hands. People are going to read this that everyone has worked really hard on. So I knew from the get-go when I started this last year, like soliciting people for writing, that it was going to take a while to come to fruition. And like, we're pretty much on
Hmm.
par with the deadline. It might release the first couple of weeks. It might reach readers because I have to do the fulfillment the first couple
Mm.
of weeks of October, but still, even in that like very conservative window, like at the very least, like that's great. It's still like perfect on par with the season. You're still getting it like before Halloween. And it may actually be released and in the reader's hands, even if fulfilled by me, by the original release date, which was September 30th. Um, Learned a lot of lessons, had to scramble for a couple of deadlines, but yeah, it's been really exhausting getting through all these pieces. It's so much information, dude. I don't know if like breaking it down here would even be helpful, but give yourself enough time.
Yeah.
Don't think there are ways to get anthologies out and they're wonderful, especially with a lot of different contributors. We have a lot of colleagues on like Substack and stuff like that who are putting out some really excellent
Hmm.
work and working together in the weird fiction space. Um, but like, how many layers are you putting into it? Is this going to be, will there contain illustrations, commissions, licensed art? Like, who are your designers? How long are those pieces going to take? Or are you going to like DIY it? Are one of you a designer? Can
Mm.
you come up with something and cost and time save with like a really understated, elegant, kind of simple
Yeah.
cover and layout design?
And
So,
I think like when it comes to like the design, the art side of things, the craft side of things, I feel like those pieces, at least for my brain, are easier to digest because it's like
yep,
I understand that you need an X amount of time to write a story, or you need X amount of time to create a picture, or a drawing, a painting, or I hear like some people like when they make the playlists, they reach out to like indie artists, like musicians, to like create playlists and stuff to put inside of the book, like with the QR code and like
love
that
it.
kind of stuff, like that stuff's the fun stuff. It's like when the numbers get involved and like the IP and the royalties and you and I have talked about this before, and luckily we have worked together so much that it's kind of like we're both there to remind each other. Nico more so than me because I don't know what I'm doing more than she doesn't know what she's
Not
doing.
true. Jess is great.
But she really helps me out. We help each other out to,
Yeah.
keep ourselves grounded in what we're doing. But it can be really overwhelming when you're wanting to make sure you're not coming off skeevy, like
Yeah.
especially in the art sphere where so many people take advantage of artists every single day because they see a talent, but they don't see the value of that
Yeah.
talent. And that's frustrating. And that's why I love it when artists are in charge, because then it's like, oh, okay, I know, because you've hopefully, not that there aren't awful artists morally out there, but you know what I mean. Like it's a little
Yeah.
bit of a leg than it's just like the corporate lingo, the buttering you up kind of
Yeah.
schmoozing stuff that can happen.
Isn't it scary to think about? At least it was for me and for a couple of other people who I've spoken with to kind of give my thoughts or my help or my aid to navigate it. But like, I know that right now people are concerned when they are commissioning art from
Mm.
artists that they're meeting remotely, they've only met online,
Mm.
um, finding something that for which the cost they can afford, and then also is not guaranteed to be. So,
Right.
like some people being worried about
They
maybe
haven't met
people that are
somebody.
freelancers, yeah, freelancers online, you haven't met them,
Mm.
trusting them or their process, that they're not just like making a quick buck by using AI and then selling it to you as though it's not. So that's like a concern that's not really, I haven't seen like written about or a lot of TikToks being made about it.
No.
But
I will say that when you first reached out to me, like we hadn't really talked before. We've talked about this, like the serendipity of it all, right? But
Mhm.
there is that like I was happily surprised each step of the way of how professional everything was. And then we kind of found out that we clicked, and then it was kind of like, well, I'm not going to be professional so much with you anymore because it's just what it is. But we did, there was like this thing, being validated in a professional sense of like, okay, this person is seeing a talent, this person is respecting a talent, this person is really holding the bar for professionalism instead of just being like winging it, which some artists and people within the craft will do because it's like, oh, we all know what it like, very laissez-faire, like kind of
Yes.
dealings. So I will say it was like very not surprise. It was surprising because I didn't know you. So like if somebody were to be like, "Oh, I was surprised now," I'd be like, "What do you mean?" But then I'm like, "Okay, perspective." But it's that kind of thing that I immediately felt comfortable in the process because it was
Good.
like, oh, this is a professional thing. I'm getting information. If I misplace information in my brain somewhere, you were there and it wasn't like a homework check. You know what I mean? I feel like so many new artists and writers and people can sometimes compare it to a homework assignment, and that's
Yeah.
infuriating to me. But um some people can just do that, and then you're just sort of like, wait a minute. Why are you thinking this is a career? This is a
Yeah.
piece of the puzzle for the future. So it was nice, just so everybody knows. You still got to the end of July. Nico told me I only had to the end of June. But it's to the end of July.
Submit, thresholds, liminality, portals to other worlds, labyrinths, even.
Are you doing art this time around too still? Or okay, good. I know poetry was
Yeah.
nixed, so I was like,
Yes, but I think I'm going to do it again because I love it.
yeah.
Then I can
Okay.
slip my little clues in there. We can morph it. I can dissolve the boundaries between the art, the clues, and the stories.
Oh my God. So I think I was channeling you a little bit because in the story that I'm working on right now for the anthology, I just had this idea. And now it's very simple. Okay. It's going to be a very, very simple thing. like capital letters in certain spots, you know what I mean? And I'll be like there's like a hidden
Yes,
message
please.
kind of deal. Just because it is very D&D related, and I was like, what is this without, a little riddle from the DM, So it was kind
Yeah.
of inspired from that. So
I can't wait to see that, because you've been able to read, or at least been able to read, I don't know if you have, half of the book. If you've gone ahead and read some of the stuff.
I haven't turned on my brain in the capacity of trying to solve anything, because I'm trying to make
It would
sure
be impossible.
Yeah, there'd be like nothing. I won't.
But you're getting the vibe.
Right. And
as we go on, it should be even weirder.
I'm
and
so
darker.
excited.
And yeah.
To whisk you away into the Underdark,
Yes.
You're like, I'm not joking, okay?
Yes.
That is funny. There is a story called, in my collection, Through the Eye of the Beholder, but has nothing to do with D&D. But I thought
would be cool. I bet it still is cool though. Just as
yeah,
cool.
It is. It's just not what I was thinking when I got the submission. And then I was like, oh, okay, this is
not a
good.
floating eye. Yeah.
No beams, no magic, no Matt Mercer, voicing it.
The giant maw.
Yeah.
What's his other word? Black ichor.
Yeah. Oh, it's ichor. Okay, see, this is another thing. I write ichor all the time, right? But then how like when you're writing it and then you're like, is it Ichor? And have you watched Young Frankenstein?
It could be Igor. Yeah, Igor.
It's not Igor. It's Igor. I'm like constantly doing cringy stuff like that when I'm writing.
But I love that. That's not cringy. That's surreal. I haven't watched that movie in over 10 years. And oops, I hope I don't lose my headphones. I just opened the case. I haven't watched that movie in over 10 years, and I just thought about it again this week.
That movie and Spaceballs is constantly in my head, like
such an impression.
Yeah, like the way they pronounce the words, a roll in the hay, Abby normal, and then you have like, it's not the blips, the zips, or the zaps, it's the zinc, and then he like goes on. I can't do it, but I just think of that, or I think of like Lone Star, that kind of thing, and I just
yes. You know what? I've been like thinking about and deconstructing Mary Shelley's Frankenstein in my free moments, just sitting here like between meetings or between work or whatever I'm doing. And I also have this.
Ooh.
It's a volume of Percy Shelley's poetry. Who is Mary Shelley's husband was. Not anymore. And yeah, I've just been going over and over and over those things. So, something in the air.
That would kind of interesting.
The qualities of man and humanity.
Yeah, the monster and the man, the society versus everything else, and all that stuff. All that juicy stuff that you talked about in lit class, but then like you didn't, you took it for granted, Like, I have to go past this class.
I lived and died for that stuff.
Yeah, I would, see, I love reading and writing, okay?
Yeah.
But when somebody tells me I have to do it for school, I was not the person that did their work. I got all A's because I knew how to talk. So, like, I would read enough. And I'd be like, I get the gist of this. I know what it's going to be. And then we'd have like debates. And I think the only reason I would rise above is because nobody in the class was even doing that. And nobody really had a love for words. And I had a love for words. Like, I naturally had the love for that. But now I understand why my mom would just be like, could you imagine if you just tried? And then, you know what I mean? And then
But then you wouldn't be you.
And then now, like, full circle moment, I'm older now, and I look at like these young kids in college, and I look at them like they're so focused on these other things, fitting in and finding themselves, and it's like, you're gonna really appreciate if you actually try hard right now.
Yeah.
Because I wish I had actually tried hard before now
maybe
in
but...
some capacity.
Yeah.
But you're like,
sure.
no. You're like, no, we're fine. We're good. Everything's fine.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I get that, and wanting to maybe like have it again. At least that's what I can like commiserate with, because like I wish it's a very, when you get older and you're out of school, literary analysis or unpacking or anything like that really is more of a solo, isolated activity.
Mm-hmm.
By and large, there are things you can do, I'm sure. Visit salons and other crazy bullshit like that, pretentious bullshit, but like really like feeling it
Yeah.
would be nice. Would be so nice.
Yeah. And I forget that I'm so bad at book clubs. I'm the worst at book clubs.
Me too.
Because I'm very opinionated. You don't know that about me.
Interesting.
So if you don't agree with what I'm saying, I am going to take it personally, in a sense of, I just spent all this time reading this, right? Like, I've connected with it. I'm emotionally invested. Yeah. Like, there's some neuro thing in my brain that is like, I know what I'm talking about.
This is it.
And you're wrong. And I had the worst stubborn wall of like, like, if I hate a character, you all need to hate the character. Okay?
Yeah.
And I know that toxicity of myself. So I try to like frame it better now. But when I'm needled in a book club over and over again by like Stacy telling me that this guy isn't a piece of shit. This guy is a piece of shit, and I'm going to tell you why on this page and this page and this page.
Yes, I have it highlighted. There are annotations. The thing is also like, at book clubs, you need to find the right group. Mm-hmm. For instance, if it's a book club at work, those folks are not going to want to, A, maybe read the same weird crap that I want to read, and B, also not want to engage with it at the same level.
Right.
You know what I mean? Nobody wants to hear about the themes and the tropes all the time, or like what it meant to society at large when it was written, if it's an older book, but...
Or they don't want to like, not only do they not want to read the same thing or like dive into it, but it's also like, if they... I'm trying to think of how to phrase this without like being an awful person. If I really like something, I want you to like it, but you're never going to like it as much as me. So it's a weird competition in my brain, as if the book will like me more than it'll like the rest of the group. You know what I mean? So it's like, if we're having a talk about like a mutual favorite book, like let's just do Poe, because we're both well versed in Poe and like love Poe, right? I don't have this like huge emotional connection to Poe in the same sense that I would Lord of the Rings, right? But like with Poe, if I am attached to it, I want to be able to talk to somebody who's also like as attached, but I want them to be less attached than me.
Let me be the one mooning over it. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I catch myself all the time. It's like one of those shadow work things that like I'm actively working on, is to be like, two people can like the same thing and it doesn't take away from your personality, right? Like,
that's tough.
It's tough.
When you love something so much, it is tough.
Yeah, I'm just like, I try to be better, but I'm trying to be on Fable more when it comes to like book clubs and stuff.
Oh my God. Every time I try, I fail.
but I don't know because a lot of like book talk is over there. That's where they really talk about the books outside of like videos. So you should get it and stuff. So I'm really trying to connect with like readers, not just for making them buy stuff from me, because although that would be great, I still miss like talking about books with people that love books. So I've been trying to get in there, and they have like a cool system of book clubs and wrap-ups and stuff. It's like similar to Goodreads, but I feel like it's so reader focused and stuff. So
Cool.
Yeah. There's my drop of the day.
I guess I'll have to start reading again. Actually, I swear I don't have every book that I own on my desk, but I do have. I don't know if that's the right way.
Oh,
or
that's
it
so
has to flip it around.
funny. Yeah.
But I don't love it more than you.
You
I
can
promise.
because you probably know it better than me. I know the top 10, right?
Yeah.
You know. I have H.P. Lovecraft, I would know more. But they're very similar things to me. You know,
Gotcha.
the vibes I like when I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
The short story, the short tale, and I love that from that time period, how a lot of people, the same author just released short stories like all the time, like, and just bound them, or poems, like their own anthology. They were just like, here you go. This is what I've been working on the past like month and a half. Go ahead, publish it. It's amazing. I'm a genius. I'll talk to you in another year when I have another collection for you.
Write me fan mail.
I sent this to the Gazette. You know, it was fine.
They didn't have a thing to change.
But speaking of colleagues on Substack, right, and freelance, I just reached out to the void about stuff. Like, where do people go for their gigs, their freelance gigs? Because there's got to be, whether you're making a lot of money or not, you're doing your career a service by continually writing and getting paid for it, making connections, like who you know is like the biggest part of this. It's like this big thing I've learned just this past year, like who you know propels you. So I'm like, I hope some people give me some good writing gigs that they really loved, and some people they really loved to connect with, just to help me out in my life. This is me falling out to the ether. Help
Get
me.
onto Substack. I restacked it. Come to me.
Oh, you did that so good. You better watch out. You gotta put some salt by your door or something.
I would never. Sorry.
It's so funny.
Oh, man. I can't wait to read all of the stuff in Made Magic.
I am very I'm very excited.
Did I get too raunchy, too scorpionic in that reskin?
No, I loved that. Are you kidding me? I told you that.
Okay,
What I think the reason Nosferatu like dug into my bones the way that it did is because, and I don't know if it's, when I say this, I am assuming it's a common thing, but it could
at least
not.
common between us, probably.
Yeah. But sometimes in the dead of night, when I'm lonely or at a crossroads, or, whatever, I don't call out to a dark entity or whatever, but I do call out to, hey, anyone who gives a fuck, here I am. Can somebody just, guide me down the road? Or whatever, a guidance. But like I make sure protections are in place, right? I'm moving in my chair a lot. That's why I'm getting blurry. Sorry, guys.
It's like I don't have contacts in.
I know. It's like I am wearing my glasses. I have them on my face. Okay. But there's protections in place, right? There's things that boundaries that have already been set for me Okay, I used to not do that. I used to just be scandalous with it and be like
Raw
she
dog it.
but like
Sorry.
but like she is in the movie where she just goes out onto the balcony and is just like, angel, devil,
Come to me.
any entity out there, hear me, come to me. You know, I'm like,
Yes.
I relate to that, and I'm sorry, but I wouldn't be hating it.
It also gives me like Ava Green and Penny Dreadful vibes in the later episodes. So good.
Yeah, it's just like, and I think that's probably why the Salem witch trials, other than like just an excuse to burn women with property, I think this is a thing of magic in women. Like, you know, we just love.
We need a whole episode on this.
I know, and
This
there's
is
this.
crazy.
I wish I could remember this author's name. She's coming out with a book that's called "Women Are Dangerous Magic," and I am really hoping it's amazing because I love that title so much. I really wish I could remember her name, but like I'll let you know, and like we could tag her in it.
Yeah, please.
Later. But she's coming out with this. She's showing her different things. She talks about manifesting. She talks about shadow work. She does all these cool things, and I love and hate it when somebody says like women are dangerous magic, because I fully believe that divine femininity and like totally believe that we're so much more open to like the forces of nature like around us. But I also don't want it to be an intimidating weapon used just because you're like, just because in order for whoa, big fireworks, sorry. In order for true growth to happen, you know, it's like we have to meet each other in the middle without intimidation tactics. But men do intimidation tactics to us all the time. So I'm not saying that, you know, we have to be the bigger person. I'm so tired of women having being a bigger person. But I am saying I do see, you know, why maybe why you're a little afraid. You know?
I get it. Well, have you read Clarissa Pinkola Estes' Women Who Run with Wolves?
No.
It's like an older classic.
Mm-mm.
I think you might like it. Talks
Probably
about, like,
would.
the different... Yeah.
Is it
Journey through
contemporary? Or
yeah.
Okay.
God, I don't know, like 80s? Is that contemporary?
I just mean like as in it's not fantasy, it's not like there's not a magical.
More like she's like a PhD. This is kind of more like essay format.
Okay.
Long style. Yeah.
I like
those.
those.
Like different archetypes
like
from a really healthy perspective.
Like kind of like Catcher in the Rye-esque, where it's like
no
a
fiction,
lot of
though.
internal, no fiction.
No fiction.
You love how I just am like, what kind of fiction is this? I'm like,
sorry. I know all I read is fiction, so you're.
And also when you're talking about running with wolves, I'm like, that sounds, you know, cool. Like a little Princess of Mononoke.
Yeah, Mononoke.
Mononoke.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's been years.
I just saw all the Studio Ghibli like compilations of like all the girls of anime. So there's huge things going around anime sphere. This is another thing that your phone's going to listen to me about, because you might not know it, but I am very much an anime nerd when it comes to certain stuff. Like I just found out I need to watch the Apothecary Diaries, because the like tension that I just saw in a clip, I was like, add to the list. But there are some problems in anime when it comes to like the representation of age, in my opinion. You can never tell how young or old somebody is, and that can lead to a lot of uncomfortable things to discuss. But I like to go into it as like, it's animated, I'm watching a good story, And anyway, all these compilations of all the women and like all the top anime came out, and it made me cry. Because it was just like, no one talks about like these badass female characters that are, and then the ones that are feminine and the ones that are masculine and the ones that are ready to like take on the world and the ones that are like just being soft and like just like the versatility and
So diverse.
yeah, and how Ghibli in particular, the studio in general never sexualizes the women or girls in their creations.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the bare minimum. Okay? And I'm happy, like, I will always praise it. I wish that it was a more common thing that happened. But, you know, give them a win. Give a win when
Give
a
'em
win
a
is there,
win.
you know?
Yeah. Captures the magic of girlhood
Yeah, because,
very well.
you know, and I know we talked about and we continue to talk about how the writing industry and things are shifting, like female in direction, like more women ingest books, especially fiction, like it is, and women authors are on the rise. Oh no, everybody. Not that, you know, women haven't always written under freaking pen names their entire. It's okay. I just won't
Yeah.
go on a tangent for that again. I'll do that like every time if I don't stop myself. But you know, like people are talking about it, and boys, like school age boys, like elementary, middle, high, are all reading stories that have a lot of female main characters. And when we were growing up, I didn't really have a lot of female main characters in the genre that I enjoyed to read, right? Like I'm not sitting there reading Babysitter Club. Like I read a couple Babysitter Clubs. I'm not knocking it, but it didn't hold me, you know, the same
You're
way.
a Christie.
That's rude.
Oh, really? I'm old. Maybe Christie meant something different to me.
I honestly don't know who you're talking about. I just assumed it was
She was
her.
like the leader who came up with the business
Oh,
and made it a plan, and she broke through like gender norms. It was just like the rad one.
what does that tell everybody about me that I immediately just assumed it was a fun in jest, but insult? Like a funny insult. Like I'm not like offended. I was ready
God.
to banter, you know, bar back and
Oh,
forth.
throw back and forth. Yeah.
But I
well,
don't
she played
know.
softball. I think she was the only one who had a sport.
Softball, I wasn't good at it. I mean, I was fine. I was fine at it. But it was boring.
Yeah.
Like, baseball's boring.
Too easy.
Oh.
Or is that t-ball?
T-ball is
t-ball.
definitely very easy, but softball is like the bigger ball, and it's like girls
Also
mainly
easy.
play it. Yeah, unless you're the pitcher and you have to like wind up. Ow, my shoulder.
Nice.
Like if I had to do that over and over again, no rotator cuff would exist.
Oh my God.
You know,
Don't come for me in the comments because I thought softball was t-ball.
come for her. Come for her in a funny way.
Only if you're Nosferatu or some other horrific demon.
It's so funny because honestly, dark entities, they're not as scary as the entities that live among us, so
Exactly. You are so right as always. And maybe they can make this book launch successful for us all. Do a little evil inspiration.
yeah, give us some material, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like was recently talking about sleep paralysis demons, which are kind of similar. Although they're never hot. What's wrong with my subconscious? Like make a hot demon. You know? Give me a succubus or an
Manifest that
incubus,
shit.
you know? Don't give me like the weird shadow block in the corner that's just like
TV static.
yeah, you know? Or like
Weird hat.
yeah, like I don't know like why our brains do that. Like why they create like they don't
Oh my God. When you were younger, so I've never had a sleep paralysis demon. I know you have experienced it, but when I was younger, this is like maybe weirder or maybe normal. You have to let me know. I would look out our windows in this old house in Maine, and I would see like shadow people peeking out behind trees, like in the full daylight. Is that normal?
Okay. I will say it's normal because I used to be able and still sometimes do like see, and this is a natural human thing to do, okay? I know
Yeah.
it is because I've looked it up.
Please reassure me.
Okay? Sometimes it's natural for you to want to place a face or a humanoid shape to something that's not, right? But some people see them more intensely, more imaginative, right? The fae, you know, like there's different aspects comparatively to like what you are open to believing about our universe and whatever. But I used to see faces and they would change shape. So like when you see like a wall, right? Or tree bark. Tree bark is a good example. Like a birch tree
Wood
has
paneling
eyes
on the wall.
yeah. And then when you see the veins, right, darker, lighter, they can warp. Your brain can automatically turn them. If you're in a good state of mind, you might see like a happy, welcoming little
Tree spirit.
woodland, you know, whatever. If you're in the bad state, you might see like it turned bad. And that happened to me. I screamed bloody murder. I was like looking at this balloon, but it was like deflated a little bit. So you saw like the creases, you know? I was in my room. I would think it was my birthday, and that's why there was balloons. I don't know. I can't remember. And I just remember looking and seeing a bunny at first and being like, oh, like, look, this guy looks like a bunny. And then it warping just in front of my eyes. And I was like, and I had night terrors since I was 4 or, you know, so like, I think I was like 7 in this. So I had been in the night terror. My mind was not liking me. Okay. So it was always making me see some stupid, scary stuff all the time. So I screamed. It's noon. So long story short, it is normal for what happened to you.
Great. Good. Good.
If you're out there and you want to lucid dream or you want to astral project, if you want to do some cool dream stuff, the best timing to do that is taking a nap, right? So if you have somewhere to be, let's say like 30 minutes, right? This is what happened to me. I had to go to work at 4:30. I was tired because I was a degenerate and I was out all night. And then I came home and I was a degenerate even more and didn't do anything I needed to do. And then I was like, I need to nap before my double shift or I'm going to keel over. So I put on my uniform, right? Got ready. I knew I was just going to roll out of bed. I knew it was to get there. I lay on the bed and I have a fitful nap, right? Because when you're napping, you're not hitting REM. So like you're not going to have sleep paralysis. You're going to slip more easily into lucid dreaming and perhaps astral projection. Now, I'm saying this like a fact. People can believe in astral projection or not. It happened to me. I'm not a nutcase completely, okay? I remember distinctly waking up, walking outside of like my doorway. But you know, like when you first wake up, especially from a nap, you're like, what time is it? What year is it? Right? So that's kind of like in the state I was. And the room is foggier, darker, you know, and I'm just like, oh, I must have like, this must be getting a storm, right? Of like Florida, constantly getting storms, right? So I'm walking out. I go to the bathroom. I don't notice what I see in the bathroom, right? Do I see myself? Who knows? I turn around to go back into the bedroom. and I see my body on the bed. I see my body on the bed, and I try, and it's perfect that I'm blurry right now, honestly, because this is the state of being.
I didn't want to interrupt you. This was good.
I know.
Gravitas.
Born
storyteller.
But I go to my body and I'm like, what the hell? Like, you know, like I feel my heart, right, going.
Yeah.
And I look towards the window because ground level is everywhere in Florida. Like, it's rare that you have a basement. It's rare that you have a second story because of hurricanes. So it's important for the story to know that I'm at ground level and my window is about as tall as me, right? Maybe it cuts off like at the knees, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a figure outside of my window. I had never read about astral projection. I barely read anything about astrology at this time. I have no idea anything that is, you know, happening to me. Like, the most I knew was like what sun signs are compatible. I was like that, you know,
Linda Goodman. Yeah.
Barely in it. I look at the figure, I'm like, what? And then I look back at my body, and it's like they wanted me to come through the window, right? I did not go through the window because I needed to get to work. So like what I'm thinking about is I'm late, and I like look, I was like, I don't have time for this. And I'm like picking up my arm, right? I'm trying to get in there. Get me back into to the body. I need to wake up. I keep saying that over and over again. When I wake up, I was sleeping with my arm behind my head like this. It was completely dead, floppy, right? So I'm picking up my arm, one of these. I feel like my hand is in my forearm, right? So I push my hand back to meet my ghost hand, come back, and now I can move my arm again.
Yeah.
And I will forever believe in astral projection ever since then. And then when I did my reading on astral projection and found out that when you astral project, you usually find a guide that comes to you, a dark figure. It's not necessarily nefarious. It's not necessarily positive, but if you go with them, you're going on a little journey, but you're leaving your body vulnerable. So I'm like, thank God I didn't go. First of all, I would have been fired. It would have taken a long time. I already know that guy was going to take me on a freaking journey. Second, I'd be definitely choosing probably the astral world over this world. Like, come on. It can't be, can't be worse. There's probably some magic, you know?
Some places are worse, but not all of them.
Right. That's true. You know. But anyway, that's my tale of astral projection by accident.
Of course. Astral projection is real. That's such a Pisces adventure, too. That a Piscean adventure. I love this. Have you ever listened to the Gateway tapes?
No.
The Gateway Project. All right, well, that's enough for today. We're going to talk about that next time.
Ooh.
So I'm going to go light a candle and astrally project. And we'll catch you guys next time. This has been Bam Now You Know Everything.
Bye,
Check
everybody.
us out below. Bye.